because I've done this for so long, but getting out networking with people, Rich Club, My House Deals. I built a lot of my buyer's base over the years off of My House Deals. Websites like that. We have our own website now, but sending it out, knowing your buyers. There's somebody on my staff that just deals with our buyers, and she's really good at knowing what they want, what their price point is. Do they pay in cash? Do they have hard money? Are they using private money? Whatever, but trying to keep a detailed database of what your clients want. And then, when you see a house, oh, hey, John Ernst will buy this thing. Go take a drive by and tell me how much you'll pay for it. So again, and then all this time, you're marketing on one hand, and you're negotiating and seeing houses and estimating repairs, and you're marketing to buyers, and then you're still curing the title. So all this is going on simultaneously. So you're working with a title company, they're really helpful, they're great, but they have 60 closings. So they're not taking that airship affidavit out to the seller to get it notarized. They're not gonna go to the city and stand in line and get a release of a demolition lien that could take them 2 months to order, but you could probably go get it if you're willing to go to the city and stand in line yourself in a day. So really staying up to date on the property, the file, making sure that the title is getting processed, making sure that they're doing everything that they can, and then taking some of the work from them. We have in-house processing where the title company gives us the commitment, we process it along with them so we can get it closed faster. But again, we have buying agent, selling agent, title processing. You don't need any of that. You can do all of this yourself on a small scale very, very easily. It's just multitasking is a huge part of this. Checking on your buyer, make sure that they actually have the money. We're still the cheapest in town. We require a $1,000 down payment. That's it. That money is not refundable unless we cannot provide clear title on the house. So we want our buyers to get out there, that we want them to see the house, know what their exit strategy is. I want them to succeed, but at the same time, we don't put long options with our buyers in the contracts because they're in very high demand. So get out there, take your inspector, take your appraiser, take your comps. I'll help you with my comps. You can pull your own based on mine. But once they see the house and they decide they want it, they write a $1,000 check to Big State Home Buyers, and it is not refundable if they can't get their financing. So, and I say that up front because I don't want their $1,000. I want them to close on the house, because in addition to my paycheck being tied in that closing, my promise to the seller is tied up in there. So they're expecting me to perform, and I'm expecting you to perform. So, we're going to perform. And so making sure that, they have a solid source of money or a private lender, that their lender is getting the appraisal ordered, that they have access to the house to get the appraiser, making sure that they've got their insurance binder, making sure that the buyers covered their bases to make sure that, they're going to show up and perform on time. And then making sure that the sellers move their stuff out. If they don't, charge them for it unless you negotiate. A lot of times we provide the clean out service and we charge the seller for it, or it's just wrapped up in the deal. Making sure that if they are going to lease it back, that they've signed the lease back agreement. Everybody knows what they're paying or getting. Making sure, whatever it is you can think of, making sure that the seller holds their end of the bargain. And in the contract, you want to spell out who's paying what closing costs, which brings me to another point, and then you close and repeat. And you can't just do one at a time. If you want to make a business out of this, you have to be doing multiple files all the time. There's always new ones coming in, there's always ones being opened, title working, and there's always ones closing. So at any one time, we have at least 40 open, we have about 40 open files at a time that are either newly contracted for sale pending close, or long-term huge title problems, but it's worth it to fix them. We took one today. This lady, she owns a house with her sister. The sister had a stroke. She's incapacitated. We're going to have to help her get a lawyer, which we have to get guardian, to get power of attorney or guardianship or whatever is required so she can sell the house on behalf of her sister. That's a huge project, but we have the resources to do that over the course of time, and we make sure that we get the house cheap enough to where it's worth our while to mess with all of that. And then I'll just say this about closing costs, because I hear this a lot. Personally, at Big State, we don't promise to pay all of the seller's closing costs. And the reason is, and we will pay some of them, we get really specific with the sellers about what they're paying and what we're paying. And the reason I do it this way is because I've had more than one closing where I said, we'll pay your closing costs, and they heard taxes, and that somehow they thought that meant we were paying their taxes. Or somehow they thought that meant we were paying their 4 years of unpaid homeowners association dues, or the $2,000 legal bill it took to get the guardianship and to go to, so it's really important to be really clear with everybody what you're paying. There's a title policy, an escrow fee, there's recording costs, and then there's all this unknown. So I make it, I use the analogy of like a blank check. You don't write blank checks. So I don't know what I'm getting into with your taxes. I never, ever, ever cover someone's taxes. HOA dues, judgments, liens, any of that. The rest is negotiable, but all of that unknown that's a blank check, don't do it, because you're going to set yourself up for a closing that blows up at the closing table. Let me see what's next. Okay, so this is just a quick look at our website. So we developed this just for our buyers. It's a central place where we send people. This is just a screenshot, but you click on the property. It's got all the pictures, all the information. So we try to provide as much information as possible in the listings, and we blast the deals out to our buyers. And you have a big enough list, and you'll hear from somebody once or twice a year when they see something in their area that they want. But I really think it's important to have a centralized place to send people to create your thumbprint. Yeah, sorry.
I went to another real estate seminar, and this particular guru, he wholesales, but basically he does without buying the property, and I think he uses the term and/or assign. Is that what you do?
Yes, that's wholesaling. Wholesale. Okay, I'll say that. Thank you. The term wholesaling, as I understand it, as it works with Big State, is Big State home buyers and/or assigns is contracting the seller's property. So Big State is a principal. We're not a brokerage. So Big State actually has the right to purchase that property under the terms of the contract. Big State will sell you the rights to be Big State in that transaction for a fee. That's the assignment fee. So if I buy the house, if I contract the house from you at 60 and he wants it at 67.5, then he's going to pay me $7,500 for the right to be Big State in this transaction. So he's going to give me $1,000 up front, and then there's a separate contract between he and I get the other $6,500 at closing. So I don't take all that money up front. I just take enough to where I know he's willing to spend some money, and we get paid the rest at closing. So the benefit of doing that, and somebody asked me about double closing, is that we negotiate the best deal possible, but the buyer's paying, essentially the buyer's stepping into the contract you've negotiated. So that's the other reason. If you went and negotiated and said, I'll pay all your closing costs, and then you give the deal to your buyer and you're sticking him with $2,000 of closing costs on top of the purchase price, they're not going to like it. So you're dealing with two clientele. You got sellers, you want to get their deals. You got buyers, you want them to keep buying from you. So it's really important you're literally in the middle, but you're trying to keep both clients happy. Flip this slide. Let me see. Okay. I'll say this about double closing too. A double close, and not a lot of title companies do this. So the thing that makes wholesaling attractive to people that are just getting in real estate is you don't have to have any money. You just have to be able to live between deals and to market to an extent to get deals. Double closing is literally where you buy the property and then step in the other room and sell it. So they're two completely separate transactions. It's a contract between two parties. The benefit of doing on an assignment, for the most part, when they get to closing, your fee is spelled out on the HUD, so it's not a secret, And then when you sign that contract with me for $67,500, he knows I'm making $7,500. When we're lucky enough to make $25,000, it happens sometimes, but not as often as you would like. Sometimes we'll double close that because we win some, we lose some, but sometimes it's still a great deal for the buyer, but if we get that lucky, sometimes not everybody needs to know that. So a double closing will hide that in effect. But the thing about a double closing is, so you have transaction 1 and transaction 2, and the second transaction will fund the first. And this is where not a lot of title companies will do this anymore. So, if I buy the property from you for 60 and I sell it to you for 90, that was a really good day for me, but I'm really going to make sure that closes. Then I'm going to sign two separate contracts. So all you know is you're getting 60, and all you know is you're paying 90. You don't know that I'm making 30. And again, that does not happen every day, but it does happen. So the title company will both all sign in separate rooms, and then your 90 grand is going to fund his 60, and then I'm going to keep what's in the middle. The negative to that is, number one, you have to pay a lot. You have to pay more closing costs because you have 2 separate transactions. Number 2, the IRS gets wind that you just made $90,000, so you better have a good CPA that can prove that you only made 30. And number 3, it just if you're in the state of Texas, eventually will catch up with you if you hit certain numbers in your franchise. You end up with franchise tax. Yeah.
As far as doing the double close, if you have the money to fund that, you pay for it outright, is that still an issue with those title companies?
No, but you want, before you do that, because, and that's the other thing, and I've done it before, if you're going to own that property even for 5 minutes with your own money, then you really should have it insured. You know, I can't tell you how many people we bought houses from that thought they were going to be real estate investors, and the house got looted or burned down. And so they had all this money invested. So now you've got double closing costs, and you've got insurance if you've got to hold it more than 1 day, and you've got, I mean, you want to be smart, especially if you're putting your own money into it and your resources are limited. So real expensive if you fund it yourself. And the other thing I'll say is if you buy a foreclosure, a short sale, HUD home, those homes, they are restricted. You can't assign those, and you can't double close them easily. There are ways to get those closed, but they're more complicated than most people would like. All right, so if you're buying property and you're wanting to get into the purchasing mode, then it's really important to network and come to places like this and get your name out there. And there's a lot of really great, reputable wholesale firms. We are very good. We're not the only one in town. There's New Western, there's Net Worth Realty, and a few others, individual guys I really like. If you're interested in buying properties, I'd be happy to share some of that contact information with you, because if we don't have it, they do, and we have good working relationships with our competitors, you know, so again, back to that, there's plenty of business for everybody. But getting in with people that know what they're doing, that know the process, the title work, that aren't going to ask for way too much money down. I mean, I've heard that there are people that take many thousands of dollars down as a deposit. You don't want to do that. I don't want to do it, because if I take $5 grand from you as a down payment, then I can't close. I'm responsible to come back up with that $5 grand to pay you back if I want to stay in business. So.
I have a comment. Occasionally, wholesalers will try to, will require that we give them the money personally. Like we don't put it in a title company.
You don't like to do that. No. It's okay. I said they always make it out to big state home buyers. There are exceptions. There are people that, we do it because we want to make sure you're going to close on the house. And so, I mean, I know you, and I know all the buyers I know in this room, I probably wouldn't ask for a deposit, or you're welcome to put in the title company. I want it in my hands, because if you back out and it happens, oh, they didn't approve me for my loan, or, oh, I had business in Chicago and I forgot my phone for 2 weeks, so I didn't answer the phone. It happens. And then, you have the money in the title company, and they're going to hold up your contract. And I'm entitled to that $1,000, because if you don't close on that house, you're costing me the opportunity to make the rest of the fee, to keep my word with the seller. I've taken the house off the market. I stopped marketing it, so. That's my reason for wanting the money in our name, because I want the right not to give it back to you if you don't perform. But like I said, you don't. Once people do business with you and you know that they're going to close, and then you can always ask who else you've worked with. I mean, you buy lots of properties from lots of people, so this is not geared towards you. This is just the mentality that I have.
I'll pay the fee to you, no problem. So.
Okay. Right. I do it. I mean, that's the reason I do it. I want to make sure you're going to close, and I don't want you to have the right to take it back if you feel like you don't want to buy it. Yeah.
But if you don't close and she don't give,
I give her the money back. I mean, they have to take your word on that, but I mean, for me personally, I've been doing this long enough. I'll give you your money back if you don't close. But that's a risk. Yes, it is. So that's why you don't want to write such a big check that you have to go knock on someone's door to get it back. So getting with the right people, realtors that know, I mean, he's a realtor, he's bought property from us or for his clients. There's plenty of realtors out there that do know this business, that do have clients buying. You'd be shocked how much more a client will pay off the multiple listing service. We do some of that too, but that's another seminar. Anyway, so getting in touch with multiple people that are reliable, that can help you buy and sell property, is really important. educating yourself on real estate investing, which is what you're doing right now. You know, set your goals. Are you wanting to rent the properties? Do you want to owner finance them? Make your goals known. If you're looking to owner finance houses, there's not a lot of you out there that really want these ugly, really ugly houses to owner finance. So